Less young men are in relationships. How come? I'm happily married and met my wife 12 years ago in college before Tinder was a thing. Honestly, if I was thrust back into the dating market, I don't know if I would try for too long. My single female friends constantly overshoot their expectations when online dating, trying to date men out of their league. It wasn't until they finally lowered their standards from 6'3" male model to average man that they found stable relationships. My single male friends frequently go weeks without matches. I'm physically fit and at least somewhat attractive, based on the women who occasionally hit on me. Still, I think the constant rejection would significantly affect my mental health, and don't want to subject myself to that. I'm also not a fan of casual sex, and I think that would further limit my dating pool. Relationships are expensive, and with the housing market right now, we have to work more and spend less to get by. Plus there's a very delicate line between friendly flirting and being creepy, so there's that too. Hopefully, because more people are realizing you don't need to be in a relationship to enjoy life. Too scared to ask a girl out. That's being an introverted, autistic person who doesn't know their emotions for ya. In my friend groups, all of the guys that are single with good careers don't want to have children. When they look for long-term relationships, it's hard to find her, so that also wants a long-term relationship without kids, so many of them just casually date. I don't think young people really know how to work real relationships. When you're young, it's not unusual to be confused about what to say or do with your partner. Some young people are too immature, dishonest and weird. It got worse with the virus. Some kids think it's all about sex. Not to mention, there are men and women who try and trick you, and young people might end up making regrettable decisions that could cost them having sex too early. I'm young looking, but I think you need to be careful out there who you pick, who you do things with, because you might end up trying to please the wrong person. Be mindful. I'm Catholic and lived in Canada as an immigrant for a while. Not many people are in relationships in that social circle, and I honestly blame the girls. I'm a girl. Many girls tell guys God told me them to be just friends out of the blue, killing every chance of them being something else in just 1 second. Or after they are asked out by a guy, they say I need to pray first and they reject them because God told them to without giving the guy a chance first. Guys have told me girls guard their hearts too much and are too concerned with emotional purity, not daydreaming about crushes. Many guys simply gave up and even trying to meet women, because what's the point if all of them are the same? I'm Catholic, and I think the attitude of these girls is just BS. You can't spiritualize your dating life. Grow up and accept the date. These girls ruined the dating game for the rest of us too, because no guys ever went to social events. Hard to find someone who will date them. There are also several factions for both genders that discourage them from dating the other side. Even if they encourage either to date, they set specific guidelines that seem to be so rigid that your neighbor would never be a valid option. It's not to say any of these groups are inherently hostile most anyway. There will always be those loud toxic people that take it to an extreme and taint the entire thing. They also cast a dark shadow over their entire gender, making others worry they may have a similar mindset. 1. High expectations. Both guys and girls sometimes think too high for themselves and are willing to get the hottest people or just crushing over celebs from movies and TV series and comparing that to real life. 2. Social media. Too many introverted people, less interaction and no balls to ask out people. 3. Hookup culture. Teens trying to hook up to look cool. I will never date again unless I find someone who has decent hygiene, is genuinely kind, can keep a conversation interesting, and holds the same values as me. I don't think that's too much to ask, and I'm not willing to compromise on them. But I haven't found him yet. It's Daniel Sloss philosophy. 1. Online dating. Men now have to compete with many thousand others, and since society has pushed a certain type of men, average males or slightly below, have a really hard time, where they normally wouldn't have. 2. Fear of rejection. Since society pushed the men should be hard and unemotional as a stone, being rejected still has a strong emotional effect, which men fear they can't handle in the accepted space they emotionally have. 3. Many men also can't really see through girls' hints, like is she flirting? Or is this the way she is? Because of point 2. Some more in my experience many men are hesitant to interpret a girl's behavior in a flirting way. As formerly young and single, I would say it's because daring to date anyone is a landmine. If the overtures are wanted, then heck yeah. If not, then no. He's a creep. Especially if you're not that great with social cues anyway. The law of averages says that most people will not want to date you. What's the point in putting yourself out there for women to play the creep card on you because you're a regular dude trying to make a date? I dated a lot when I was younger and I had my share of non-violent cringe behavior, but it didn't make me a creep just because I asked a woman out. Duck that. I found it's much better to just live your life, cultivate your mind, your hobbies and career aspirations, and eventually someone will take some interest in you. If you're remotely interesting and have a personality besides playing video games or skateboarding all the time. Hopefully they have smartened up. Not getting wrapped up in a serious relationship early in adult life, while albeit lonelier, is a much better way to get your career and hobbies pointed in the right direction. Working on yourself before trying to be in a serious relationship is a much better way to figure out who you are on your own instead of two people trying to figure out who they are at the same time. That leads to divorce, which benefits one partner more than the other most of the time. Most of my friends who married early didn't make it. They just naturally grew apart as they approached midlife and figured out what they really wanted. I'd love to have a GF, but I have so much anxiety that actually approaching a girl is scary. I also don't want to come off as a weirdo if I were to approach a girl, which I know I will because I'm bad at small talk. In general, people tend to expect all the other people to change, never themselves. Society, and especially women, have told me explicitly that any interaction not started by the woman is annoying, intrusive, and potentially creepy. So I pretty much have to put myself in situations where women are and hope that they start something. Doesn't really work very well. My other option is online dating, which is a cesspool of shit. Working 100 hours a week for a pittance doesn't leave much time and money for dates, I guess. Also there's that 2-year-long pandemic thing knocking about. Technology. They can now send pictures of their dongs to women from behind a screen. Interpersonal relationships are now swiping on Tinder and judging by looks rather than what they have to offer. It dehumanizes us as people, but more like objects. Why put time and effort into a relationship when you can get a quick hookup with someone who's a 10? Then you find a sudden change mid to late 30s where now they want to settle down when no woman wants them after being strung along and given the patter. Now there's too many trust issues on both sides. I genuinely think social media has killed relationships. Everyone wants what everyone else has rather than seeing what they have in front of them. That's just what I've seen by my male friends. I'm a lucky one who's in a relationship, but I had to go older because no one my age wants to settle down. I'm 22. Been single since I was 18. I've also been in active addiction, in and out of rehab and jails, since I was 17. Have had opportunity for a relationship multiple times, but it has been in mine and their best interest to not date because I would have been very toxic at the time. Finally in recovery, but honestly not in a place for a relationship. Can't speak for others, but for me, a relationship is not worth the effort and emotional cost. At the moment, I have much better things to do with my time, like my research work. We look around and watch everyone get stolen from, cheated on, ghosted, and falsely accused. I feel like I'm better off with just my friends for a few more years. I was single in my 20s, single in most of my 30s, and I'm 42 and single. I have been in many relationships, but I'll tell you, while less young men are in relationships, money When I was in my 20s I was either in retail or in college. So either making minimum wage or making no money at all. Women are looking for men who can provide for them. I don't mean a roof over their heads and a new car. I mean a night out at the bar or going to the movies. Now home in his parents' house or in his smelly college dorm. So 18, 25-year-old women aren't looking at young men as possible dates. They are looking at men in their 30s and 40s because they don't live with their parents, have nicer cars, have careers and not jobs, can give them that awesome night on the town, and are looking to possibly settle down. Unlike young men who are still in the mindset of trying to get laid as often as possible by as many women as possible. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.